Hello everyone! San Diego Comic-Con is officially done, but there is still plenty to talk about and plenty of material for a content creating channel like mine. So before we finish up everything that came out, we're going to go over a list of notes and tidbits that came out for the Transformers brand from various Q&A panels, heard on the floor, etc., etc. This list was compiled by Nemesis Primal over at Sabertron, so credit to him for doing all the legwork. I am simply just going over my thoughts about everything that is listed here. And, you know, there's some really interesting stuff going on here, as well as just some filler things that we hear all the time. Okay, so for starters, we know that we're going to hear about Legacy Wave 4, which will include Breakdown from the Stunticons at PulseCon, which is not too far away. So it's weird. Well, I guess it's weird that you hold stuff back that you could be announcing at San Diego Comic-Con. But I do know, I guess they have to push PulseCon somehow. So, okay, fair enough. So, Legacy Wave 4, it's not going to be long before we know all about that one, too. I mean, I feel like we've been kind of spinning our wheels until they finally started announcing, like, Starscream and Inferno and all that for Wave 3. So, to find out Wave 4 is not going to be that far away, at least announcement-wise, that's great. It's scheduled for next year, so we're still in that, like, every 3 months we get a new wave kind of cycle. Man, I miss the days. I miss the days when it's like every month and a half we get a new wave of figures, and it's just like, because it was all just one toy line. Now we have 1 million, so we need to spread it out. All right, so Evan mentioned that Menasaure's lack of Scramble City compatibility limbs being dedicated to just Menasor have been well received, and they are keeping that in mind for future potential combiners, which is interesting. So, in order to get screen accurate, yes, they do have to be dedicated limbs. You know, it has to be the right arm. It has to be the left leg. I don't necessarily find that to be a bad thing. Yes, the playability factor is a thing, and losing it is unfortunate. I cannot deny that so far from all the things we have seen, this new Menasor does look a lot better than the Combiner War Menasor. Playability-wise, of course, the Combiner War figure is going to top it, but if you want something that looks like a solid Menasor, then you go with the Legacy version, and that seems to be the situation we have here, and that's fine. I have no issue with that, really. And they're going to do it with other teams. That's not necessarily a bad thing either. At this point, Combiner Wars pretty much settled a lot of, like, we need this combiner, we need that combiner. So if they're going to revisit those characters again at any point, this is the way to go about it. So if it's actually being well received, good. Though, trying to get, like, a big carrier that forms the super robot into Silverbolt is going to be hilarious. Like, I can't imagine, like, maybe... I'm trying to think about it now. You might make it work with Onslaught. Work with Onslaught, but I can't imagine, like, Silverbolt or Scattershot, like those. You're gonna get hard really quick on some of those. All right, no community is off the table for Legacy. Even Cyberverse is an option, so it's really cool to know that they could pull from literally anywhere. There were a lot of designs in Cyberverse, and I would say even RID 2015, that honestly I would not mind seeing another go at. So to know that even those are an option is actually kind of a cool thing. It's jumping the gun here, but yeah, they did state that they want to make it a trilogy. So we're in for 3 years of these characters and figures, which means they got a lot of room to play, and they got a lot of characters they can pull from a lot of continuities. So it's gonna be an interesting few years of Transformers, I feel. I feel like it's gonna be a year where it's gonna be like a trilogy where a lot of people are satisfied that they touched on all these different series, but a lot of people are gonna be disappointed because we're gonna end up with, like, 3 Armada characters, or, you know, 3 Viacons without doing, you know, Strike and Obsidian. We're gonna see something like that. You know, or like even 1 Viacon. Jetstorm gets something and no one else does. I get the feeling it's going to be it's going to be just like a sampling of what some fans really want. All right. Anime was given a flat-out confirmation that they will be in Legacy. So there was a theory going around that Cartoon Network holds the rights to the images and designs. No. Those are free and clear. Hasbro owns all rights and likenesses to all of their characters. So that also lends credence to the upcoming War for Cybertron Studio Series figures actually being the High Moon designs, and not necessarily meaning they have to license Activision again in order to make those. Interesting to note. Yeah, let's see. They cited Lockdown, Ratchet, and Optimus as character designs they'd really like to work on, and they did confirm they would be G1ified, which is, for animated, is frightening. The team does admit that they heard the feedback on the 3 G1ified characters from Prime so far, and they're going to work on a better balance between G1 aesthetic and original look. I think if you're going to go with animated, one, it has to be the unique designs of that series. Like, even Ratchet, I don't think is unique enough to get away with. Maybe. But Lockdown, definitely. You could do something with Lockdown. Yeah, and just the idea of it being G1ified is a little bit terrifying when the whole point of animated and the aesthetic of animated is so important. I can imagine that there is a middle ground where the Prime designs look more G1, but the fans are still relatively happy with how it turned out. I cannot imagine a situation where they G1ify animated designs and fans are happy with it. Lockdown might be your one exception because there is a unique aesthetic to Lockdown, a unique silhouette that you can hit if you do it properly. But man, it's gonna be dicey. It's gonna be really dicey. All right, so let's keep going here. I don't want this video to go like terribly long because I'm pontificating quite a bit here. Titans and Selects are both still planned to continue release. Calling out the theory that Selects ended specifically is incorrect, which also means that the speculation that Titans were on the chopping block as well is also unfounded. A lot of people thought. The rumor going around was that Titan's survivability was going to depend on how Cybertron Metroplex did, which seemed like a worrying thing to me to have a much more obscure character and not have like the G1 nostalgia crowd that could pick at it. But apparently, according to them, the sales so far have gone really well for Metroplex. So yeah, we're gonna get more Titans. It's going to be fun to figure out who, because they're running out of big characters. Let's see. Hasbro's considering 2022 and 2023 both to be Armada anniversary due to the show's release date in Japan, which also probably explains RAD 2000 on Scourge's box. So we could get anniversary stuff potentially for 2 years worth of Armada. Starscream being the start. We know Hotshot is on the way. And who knows what else? There is a lot. One of those, someone did bring up that Armada Prime. Armada Prime may happen for the anniversary, unlikely to be the unreleased Takara-initiated one shown years back, but may borrow from it if happening. You need to give up, okay? For all of you who are sitting there waiting for that Takara Optimus Prime to actually be released, give it up. Stop. You know, Michael Jordan meme. Just stop. Get help. No, not that part. But that toy was designed. That toy has gotten pretty old at this point. And keep in mind, that toy was never really given any specific point where it would fall. It was designed so that it could potentially be a masterpiece, or it could be a mainline figure. And that basically meant, how was the trailer going to turn out? Was it going to be just 4 panels that flip around and reconnect like the original? Was it going to be like fully articulated legs? That would be your difference between masterpiece and retail release. Or it might not have had the super mode at all. But regardless, that mold at this point is going to be too expensive to release as a modern figure, and they've already it's again jumping ahead, but they've already stated that it would never be a Haslab figure, so that is not an option either. No Optimus Prime would be a Haslab. It's not the venue for it. Any Optimus Prime is going to be a retail release. So there you go. See, Cyber Planet Keys and Cheetor's Gut Gun both being thought about in terms of potential weapon/accessory packs. I haven't heard a long time. It's been a long time since I heard of any kind of accessory pack for Transformer toys. There's a lot of missing things here and there due to budgetary restraints, so I wouldn't be surprised if, as a Selects or Hasbro Pulse or fan channel exclusive would be a good one, where here's Cyber Keys, here's Cheetor's missing gun, here's here's both of Cheetor's missing guns. Who are we kidding? Things like that. The only worry to me is like how many molds it's going to take in order to produce that many colors of plastic and how many of the parts. So it's either going to be like the last accessory set we got, which was technically a figure. It was, God, what was his name? Centurion, the weaponizer, and all the extra parts he came with, and most of those were gray. So that's kind of where I'm like leaning if we actually get an accessory pack. The Cyber Keys are interesting though, without any kind of plug-in functionality to the Cyber, things like Metroplex. I don't see them being essentially that useful. At most, they're going to have a flip-out peg so you can like peg them onto their arm like a shield, just so they can wear the key. I think that's about the only thing you're going to get. In this case, I really would just kind of prefer if we do like Minicon Drill Bit as a core class, and then like the Cyber Key is like a pack-in accessory for him. And that's how you complete your Metroplex. That's the strategy, I feel like. They know people want Tidal Wave. So there's more Armada that they know people are after. Would not surprise me. Now, again, that's going to really be interesting depending on where it falls. An Armada Megatron is in listings right now. So will it be able to combine with that? Do they make it? What do you do? Do you actually put the combination functionality in, or do you let it stand as its own independent figure and make it like the proper like big size that people want? I'm thinking like minimum Commander class. I would prefer Titan. I would love a Titan Tidal Wave. But I can absolutely see them going smaller so it works and it becomes compatible with a Megatron toy. I think that's the wrong direction. I don't know. I feel like that takes some wind out of Tidal Wave's sails, so to speak. And then you have to figure out, is it going to be toy color, animation color? Who knows? There's a lot of things to factor for Tidal Wave, so it doesn't surprise me that it's been this long. Minicons are something they're intending to figure out once they move more fully into Armada, which is an interesting statement. So we've only got 2 Armada toys officially. We only have 1 Armada toy officially confirmed, 2 more in listings. But if they're actually talking about moving more fully into Armada to the point where Minicons become a requirement, that's fascinating. That's a really telling statement right there that more Armada is on the way. See, wider release / more allotments of Velocitron Cosmos and his in-store availability are up to Walmart. Pulse cannot restock. The numbers I heard was that 15% of the stock was allocated to Hasbro Pulse, and the rest go to Walmart, and that they are 1 per case, which would explain why they sold out so fast. It is all up to Walmart whether or not more are made. It's another one of those, like, the mold is exclusive to them. Considering how high demand Soundwave was, and how quickly he sold out online and everywhere else, I would not be shocked, honestly, if they were just obtuse enough to just not realize the high demand for that figure, and just decide, no, we're not going to do it again. I'm sure Hasbro, seeing the fan reaction, is going to want Cosmos and Wave 2 Velocitron as well. That will be up to Walmart ultimately, but it would be a mistake not to. And as one of those who missed the Hasbro Pulse pre-order, yeah, I really need them to make more Cosmos. All right. Next Haslab is being worked on, but no associated dates yet and no information, so they are plotting it. We've had big speculation videos before about figuring like what is it going to be. Deathsaurus is still like really high up on my list. Potentially other combiners, you know, the Dino Force would be a good one. You could go in a million different directions. So we're not going to spend this video speculating on it because we can make a whole video speculating on it. All right, no version of Optimus Prime will ever be a Haslab. This is, again, talking about the Armada Prime. So, yeah. Yeah, that mold's never happening. That's right up there with Beast Wars Neo Unicron. You know, we're not getting it. Stop hoping for it. It's a waste of time. When asked about a new Cybertron Optimus Prime wing saber, it would be totally doable to make a new wing saber that connects to Siege. Implying wing saber is on the table, but Optimus is considered done. It's a pretty poor facsimile. Of Cybertron Optimus Prime. I will say that. But also, you know, look at that size of that toy. That means that wing saber would be like a Voyager at the most, and not a particularly good one. It's implying wing saber is on the table, but I really do not think we are getting that wing saber. At this point, that Siege Optimus, I think, is just going to be too old of a figure to release along with this. Since we don't have any like proof that it's in the system or in the works in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I think this is just them just giving a fun answer of like, you know, I could see it working, but they're not making it. They're not going to make it. More Titans from Cybertron are possible, albeit daunting due to the number. Starscream, Primus, Quick Mix, Menasor. Yeah, all of those huge ones. Yeah, they could. They probably won't. I can imagine a Primus as a Titan at some point, but I think the rest are a little bit out of I think a little bit, or the others are a little bit too obscure. Or that Starscream, they make like a Titan class Starscream, like an even bigger version of that. Oh, that would be hilarious. But I'd much rather see Cybertron Starscream at a smaller, more affordable point. Like I'd love to see that at leader class. That's where like the sweet spot would be for me. Evan wants to incorporate power links into Armada / Energon updates. Honestly, I'm going to be honest here. I think if you do Energon Autobots at some point, you completely exclude the power link gimmick. Yes, it was a good part of the playability of that toy line, but that would require a lot of figures with a lot of sacrifices to their functionality in order to do that again. I genuinely feel like the approach would be to just make them really good versions of those characters. Since it's not a line-wide gimmick, don't worry about making a line-wide gimmick out of it, and just make really good figures of those characters and designs. You know, I would love, I would actually be all down for an Energon wing saber that was articulated rather than breaking up into armor for a Energon Optimus who will, potentially not happen. I feel like the time to do that would have been during the Combiner War Optimus Prime. That would have been a really fun way of working that style and design in. Didn't go for it. But yeah, if you're doing Energon updates, leave the power linking out. Just make them really nice. Mark Evan talked about making the figures of the 13 Primes all the time. Mentioned the Fallen as a tank. I don't think we're getting 13 Primes unless like we go really hard into new fiction that reintroduces them. I think it's been a little bit too long since we touched on them at this point. As far as Evan knows, Legacy is planned for 3 years as a trilogy, so we know that. More non-G1 updates can be expected even if or when Legacy ends. Good. Yeah, well, that's pretty much Transformers as a standard. That's not a shock. All right, Evan wants to make Beast Machines Viacons. Don't we all? Don't we all? Yeah, at the least the main 5. Or I'm going to say like Jetstorm first, and then you can do whoever you want. How about that? Okay, that's a deal, right? That seems like a fair deal. More obscure characters Evan wants to do in Legacy. Velocity, Javelin, Mistress of Flame, Camions. Wow, we like a lot of IDW 1.0 love here. There's a lot of characters in there that would absolutely be really nice to do. And yeah, you could go nuts on the speculation for exactly who all would be available in that. I do like that they are keeping obscure characters in mind. Things like Things like Nautica, I really feel like need to happen at some point if Hasbro wasn't so averse to making like aquatic vehicle modes. I really think they just don't want kids to like ruin their toys dunking them in the bathtub. I think that's basically why we don't get boats and submarines. Interest in bringing fan votes back. I just realized just the other day we haven't had a fan vote in quite a while. It's good that they're thinking about it again, though. Like, I really hope that if we do fan voting again, that it leans more toward the Windblade direction, you know, and less toward the what 2-pack do you want us to make first kind of direction. Because that was a little bit lame. And I think all the potential characters that were in those votes are already out, so it's not like we really affected anything. All we really just said was make these first. I like when fan votes come together to create something unique that didn't exist before. That feels like more connected to the fandom than just what 2-pack do you want? Expansion into NonG1 was due to designer interest, characters needing updates, and people being sick of the same characters. There you go. So they very well know we're tired of seeing G1 all the time. Good. And also, we're getting designers in Transformers now that grew up with Beast Wars, Beast Machines, Unicron trilogy. Their head is not stuck in G1 specifically. So it is really reassuring to know that they are keeping that in mind, and they are like reaching into other avenues of nostalgia outside of just Generation 1. It doesn't have to just be about the first Transformers. Positive reaction to being asked about Omnibots. Vague, anything is possible response given. So, yeah, this is another one of those, like, it's another answer of, we could do it, nothing says we can't do it, but we're not doing it. Or at the very least, like, this is, like, anything is possible is the answer they give anytime you ask if something's being made. And they literally say it about literally anything you ask about, because they're never going to tell you, no, we're not doing Omnibots. What are you, stupid? No one knows who the Omnibots are. No, we're not doing Omnibots. No, go away, go away. They're never gonna do that. They're always like the least you're ever going to get is anything is possible, just so they don't put a negative on it. Just to give you some kind of like, oh yeah, maybe, yeah. But it is the generic answer for, we're not doing it. Or at the very least, we're not doing it anytime soon. Though I will say, Omnibots have been around a long time without an update. And yeah, though there's a few, like Downshift in particular, not Downshift, oh, Camshaft. Camshaft is the one I'm thinking of. It has such a unique design, there's nothing else you can really do with them. So, curious how that would even work. Alright, more minibots will make it in eventually. I believe Gears in particular was mentioned. Someone else was mentioned. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, they want to make sure all the minibots get out at deluxe size. So that's always good to hear. Mention a potential Conehead re-release in Legacy. Much needed. That set is way too expensive for what it is. Evan mentioned having a few more beasts to get through, so we're not done with Beast Wars just yet. We know Hasbro has had Transmetals in mind if they could figure out how to do it. It seems like with Transmetal 2 Megatron, they have gone the route of just metallic paint and not worrying about the Transmetal chrome at all. I think that's the right direction. So hopefully Transmetals are what they're talking about. Notable members of the cast, Silverbolt and Quick Strike are now missing. We got all of Season 1, so now we're waiting on Season 2. I think really, like, outside of potential, like, really popular toys from the original toy line getting a second run or getting a reissue, or just getting a new version, I think that's probably who they're talking about. I would at very least expect to see. Wouldn't a Voyager class Silverbolt be so cool to get? Like, that's like really like what my head wants. Let's see, yeah, and then there's just there's some basic stuff, some basic notes at the bottom here from JT Prime, notable leaker. Breakdown Twincast numbers have been replaced with new ones now, indicating the wave 4 will now include Needle Nose, Junkion 1, Hot Shot, Tarn, and Leo Prime. In addition to Breakdown, while Twincast has been pushed back to the wave containing Metal Hawk, and the Wheeljack and Cheetor repacks have been possibly scrapped. That's for the best, because really, the repacks never went over well, I think. And it's such a gamble, especially that Wheeljack. That would have been the third release of that Wheeljack, and like just remolded into somebody else. Just make, if you want to run that mold one more time, just make somebody else out of it. Make a Gut Cruncher. I know he's supposed to be a tank, but he looks like Wheeljack, so just make a Gut Cruncher. I don't think anyone's going to call you on that. But yeah, there's a ton of information here. A ton of information. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. It's obvious they've got a lot of different plans for the next trilogy of toys, and a lot of things that are not Generation 1, which I think is the important thing here. I said I didn't want this video to go on too long. It's gone on way longer than I intended to. I like to talk. So I'm going to end it up here. Thank you once again for joining me. What do you think? What are you looking forward to the most out of all this? Because we got a ton of info dumped on us here, and a lot to look forward to. Personally, yeah, I can't pick. I was going to pick, and then like my brain just shut down. I was like, no, don't pick. I am curious to see what Animated Lockdown is going to look like, if that is indeed the direction they're going in. But besides that, yeah, there's a lot here and a lot to look forward to. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.